Welcome back to Spirit School. I am excited to come at you today with your March 2023 Spirit Messages. So, of course, as always, before we get started, just kind of highlighting things that happened last month, things that are coming up. It was a really tough month, I would say, for February for myself. I don't always remember what I said in the prior Spirit Messages. I actually very rarely remember. But I do remember feeling really, really good about them. And though February for me was like a very expansive month, my business has never been doing better. I have more people in my programs and my membership than I ever have had before. I have been very busy with the Spirit School build. My retreat sold out. So the Sacred Spirit Retreat for April in Maple Ridge, British Columbia is completely sold out. So in so many ways, things have never been better. And then in other ways, things have been ultra trying. My health continues to be something that challenges me week after week, month after month. And I did end up having an anaphylactic experience in February. So I am definitely committing time and time again to looking at my health, my nutrition, my diet. I just found out about antihistamine diet. So going to do some research and look into that. And so, in every way, just holding the beauty of the dichotomy of this human experience in life. So understanding that though there are beautiful, expansive things happening, there are also things that kind of stop me dead in my tracks and require me to rest and recharge as much as possible. Funny enough too, this year, because I am not doing my goddess weeks this year because things have changed. I'm over 40 now and things don't become as easy to predict as they used to be. And I didn't realize until just last week, I'm recording this, last week of February. And I didn't realize until last week when I was starting to feel that kind of burnout come on that I forgot to schedule time off this year. So it occurred to me that I didn't even book a single day off. And between my vertigo in January and my strep throat in January, my anaphylaxis experience in February, all the time I've had off has been just dealing with sickness and not replenishing and rejuvenating. So funny enough, with one of the cards that came up this month for the Spirit Messages was the number 4 card, which was rest and rejuvenate. So I have gone ahead in March and scheduled a week off. And, we have the initiation happening still, and we're wrapping that up in March and preparing for this massive retreat where I have 24 people from around North America coming up to Canada to hang out with me for a week in the woods, which I'm really excited about in the Spirit School build. I think I definitely underestimated what was entailed with that because it's a lot of being available. It's responding to contractors and designers. It's relooking at budgets. I went very over budget, and we're about to have a meeting on how to scale back in any way, or I'll have to manifest more. But I have a vision for what I want to create with Spirit School's first location, and I want it to be a place that people feel proud to come visit, leave their comfort of their homes and their towns and their cities to come to Squamish to hang out with me in Spirit School's first location. So I'm very picky about things like the chairs you all are going to sit on. The comfort, the lighting, that it's, higher end. For some reason that's really important for me because I know that when I leave the comforts of my home, if you can't tell, if you're on YouTube, behind me I have lots of fuzzy pillows and sensory things and beautiful things to look at. For me, it helps me feel rested and settled in a place when things are very chaotic or I feel like my safety is at risk. I remember going to a crystal fair and there was a workshop that I signed up for, and they had the workshop in like this underground closet with no windows, and it was like brick windows and these crickety chairs, and there was I think it was like a boiler room or something, not a word of a lie. I dragged my best friend with me. I'm like, we're going to this workshop. I couldn't stay there. I didn't feel safe in this room. It didn't feel very welcoming. The last thing I felt was connecting in with my guides and spirit. I was so distracted. by the atmosphere around me. And I think that setting is really, really important. So I've been really focusing on that and making sure that it's a place that I really want to hang out and that I feel proud to invite people from around the world to come hang out with me. So I'm really excited because I've secured my first international teacher. Dominic Bogue is going to come co-teach with me at Spirit School's location in August. So you can look for that registration to open in late April, early May, but things are starting to happen. And yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about it. But I will say that the downside of it, again, the dichotomy, that excitement, but then that the downside of it is how stretched I have been feeling when it comes to my energy, how available I am, having to be everywhere at once. It's been a lot. And yeah, so that's that. I'm excited for what has come up for the March spirit messages. So I'm just going to start kind of rolling into them. You guys can know too, I am starting to build out my YouTube channel. I'm going to be dedicating to growing my YouTube channel in 2023. And Julie Poole, who I had on the podcast in February, who you guys, I had somebody say it was their favorite interview. She has a really big YouTube channel, and she's been sitting with me, helping me strategize and auditing my YouTube channel on where I can improve and how I can build that momentum up again. So I'm very dedicated to growing not just my podcast, but my YouTube channel this year too. So you will hear me reference different cards that I pre-pulled, and I'll hold them up to the camera, and I'm going to get better at editing these for YouTube as well. Oh yeah, that was one other thing I really want to mention too, is like I feel I did this interview a couple weeks ago with a physical medium, Winterbrook, and I'm so excited to share her interview, and she's going to be a guest mentor in the Spirit School Collective, teaching a class on physical mediumship in the collective this month on March 22nd, which I'm so excited about. But what inspired me around the YouTube channel is because when I was interviewing her, I really wanted to project all these images that she captures of her physical mediumship. Like her entire physical body changes. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And so I wanted to edit this YouTube video, which will be up on March 7th, of her interview, and highlighting some of the evidence that she has created for in her physical mediumship around the presence and, long life after life of the spirit world. And so I'm really excited for that. So that's coming up in March as well. And I just felt like that was really important to kind of talk about the direction in YouTube I wanted to go, because I really want to do more of that as well. But the podcast ain't going anywhere. It's my number one passion, is my podcast and my Spirit School Collective. So we're still going to be focusing on creating content here as well. So as I was tuning into the spirit world earlier today, and I was waiting to feel the inspiration to come through for these spirit messages, it's come up a few times throughout the day, which is how come I know I need to start here and focus on this, is because what came through first was around this knowledge exchange that came up in the February spirit messages. And I've been really shifting my personal perspective in this life and how I engage with my peers and how I engage with those people who inspire me, who are further ahead of me, that, if I feel so lucky to get their time and their resources and their energy, that I want to be reciprocal in nature to thank them for their time and energy. So we talked last month just very briefly about shifting our perspective and reaching out to other people, whether they're bosses or colleagues or friends or partners. And instead of extracting resources, instead of extracting knowledge, it's a knowledge exchange. And the world of spirit was inspiring me to talk about how we're going to be coming into March, and we're going to be unfolding into spring and leaving winter behind. And we're going to be seeing the fruits of that law of reciprocity in the natural world. So we are watching how these fallen leaves have created enrichment in the soil so that the tree can survive and it can bloom and grow more buds and leaves come spring. So we're actually going to have some beautiful representations in the natural world around us, in the Mother Earth world, of the law of reciprocity at play all around, and the abundance that comes with that reciprocity. So I feel that there's going to be a lot of physical reminders of that in our natural world, and how so many of us are feeling depleted in our everyday lives because we're feeling like we're constantly being extracted from. And one of the invitations for the month of March as we head into spring and the world starts to come to life again in the northern hemisphere, and of course in the southern hemisphere, things start to wind down and we see that death and that letting go as they head into fall. But as we are heading into spring, the world of spirit really wants to bring to our attention this sense of renewal that we need to bring into ourselves. So one thing that we may be aware of this month is, even in situation as parents, kids do extract from us. And that's, the law of being a parent and a child, and we give, and tend to overgive as parents. But there is an opportunity to receive from them in ways if we could shift our perspective. It's almost like, I'm being brought this vision of my son waking up late, and the first thing that he does when he wakes up is comes downstairs. I sit in one chair and I have 2 coffees before I get started on my day, and he comes, sits on my lap, and he tells me about his dreams, and he starts to ask for things that I have to say no. But shifting my perspective on him sitting on my lap and having him share his dreams with me, for some reason that feels very reciprocal to me. That's something that really fills me up. And I think I was naive to how much that filled me up and how much reciprocity that was in our exchange as son and mother. And that quick little reframe and that perspective shift actually gave me an opportunity to be filled up. And though the next few hours were spent me serving him his breakfast, getting his lunch ready, his school bag ready, I hold on to those quiet little moments that he shared with me and allowed me to be involved in what happened in his dream state and how much that filled me up. And I think that there's an opportunity for us to be recharged and refilled by a lot of the little nuances that happen in our daily lives. If we can slow down and be present enough with them to see, this lit my heart, this filled me up. Because sometimes we can get really overburdened and just over focused on the things that do deplete us and the things that, make us feel a little bit more tired than when we first started. And there is an opportunity to see things around us that fill us up. That's basically the message that they want to say around this. And this is essentially the exchange. And so if I were to say that this month was to be focused on one thing, it's going to be awareness around this exchange. And it's looking at what you need as an exchange to feel filled up again. So we're really coming into a season within our human experience when it comes to what's happening in the world around us to be recharged and be reignited. It's almost like I see us just being filled from the feet up to the top and just allowing the awakening in the northern hemisphere of the nature and the world around us to fill us up. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm feeling. It's like filling up, filling up, filling up. But if we're not aware of that process taking place, we'll miss it. We won't get to experience it. It's like it's happening all around us, but we have to bring awareness to it to actually be able to experience it. This is a very parallel thing that I teach in mediumship around spirit guides, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't feel my guide. I don't hear them. They've gone. And I used to be a lot like that too. And one thing that the spirit world brought to my awareness a couple years ago was like, we haven't gone anywhere. It's just your awareness has shrank. It has gone to non-existent territories because you've been so busy and distracted. And so we're still here and we're still as close as we ever have been. You have to open up your awareness to be able to experience us. So it's not like spirit takes off or like abandons you. It's just that your awareness shrinks. So this is going to be a month of expansion in the sense where we want to expand our awareness. We want to expand to the things that replenish our lives, that enhance our lived experience, and start taking a look at the things that don't. And is there an opportunity to change things there? I mean, being a mom, I can't change. I'm a mom. I'm committed to these children until I return home. And so I could see this experience of being a parent as being one-sided in the sense where I'm serving and I'm giving and giving. I'm not getting anything back other than flack and attitude. shifting that perspective on how can I make this a more reciprocal experience. And it was simply just sitting with the little experiences with these little humans and recognizing within myself, oh, this lights me up. My heart's melting. I see a smile just activating on my face, and celebrating that and leaning into it and leaning into that awareness so that it can really fill us up. And I'm telling you, when we talk about the simplicities of life and the things that can bring us the most joy, they are going to be those little moments and the little things. I remember seeing a meme of a dog and a human sitting on a bench and looking out at the world. And I'm seeing this right now. And the thought bubble above the human is like, oh, I have to go to work tomorrow. What am I going to eat next week? I wonder what this person thinks of me. Did I do that right? And the dog was just saying, woof. And it was just in the moment, looking out at the sunset. And who do you think has a happier, more fulfilling experience, right? It's going to be the person who can just, or, the animal person even, who just looks out and can take in that moment of full presence to feel grateful for the experience you're having right now in the moment. I've even started seeing my fear and anxieties around this. I started calling it performance resilience as a way to teach, because I used to call it performance anxiety. And like in that perspective of having it as performance anxiety, it remains anxiety and anxious. But when I look at it from a lens of performance resiliency, I'm like, this excitement that I feel within my body is an indicator that I am living a big, full life at this very moment. Like, I get to experience these nerves and call them excitement. And they do activate me. They still make my heart expand. They make my throat chakra expand. They give me a sign physically that I'm about to do something that means a lot to me and that is very important to me. And for me, that is a very important reframe, because I get to experience it in its fullness and have it be something that can fill me up rather than deplete me. So not everything that depletes us is going to be changeable. It's not like we can just like kick everyone out of our life and like go quit all our jobs and change departments all the time every time we feel that we're not getting a mutual benefit from it. There is an invitation here in the month of March to look at the things that exist and see if we can find the law of reciprocity in those existing situations and relationships. And if not, then can we shift things to start building a life for ourselves that is one of enhancement as much as possible? Because I also don't believe that we are meant to live this life without hiccups and without that depletion. Because then what is rejuvenation if not the awareness of depletion? So one of the things around the monthly themes, and it's card I pulled, which is the 9 card, which is a completion card. If you know anything about numerology, 9 is the card of a teacher. It's the 9 of cycles completing. So I pulled 2 out of 4 cards were 9 cards. So I definitely feel that we are coming into a lot of completions when it comes into the end of March and leading into spring. And a lot of things is around stories that you're telling yourself, because what Spirit brings to my awareness around this is the busyness of the mind. And so they make me feel that this busyness of the mind and these cycles that you find yourself in, similar ways of thinking, and this feels like it's for myself as well, just being transparent about this, is like there's something that comes up with the practice of awareness and the practice of being extremely hyper present that gives us spiritual resolve, as well as this, performance resiliency, I want to say, because I'm speaking to my readers out there. And so there is this benefit that may be underrated around spiritual resilience and spiritual strength as well. So we often think that we have to gain spiritual resiliency and spiritual strength through sitting in the power, meditating daily, and, having a checklist that we have to move through. But Spirit is even saying that even if you just become aware in your everyday moments of the love and joy and the filling up experience that you get, even just little practices like that are going to help build the spiritual strength that you've been looking for in other places that works for everyone else. And it's really important to hear that as well, that came through, that not everything that works for someone is going to work for you. Spirituality, above all else, is not a one size fits all journey. So if you're looking for spiritual resiliency and spiritual strength in these pathways that other people have dictated for you or have inspired you on, and you're not receiving the fulfillment from them, it's time to think about simplifying. And don't underestimate how simple spiritual growth is. Like, sometimes it really is just cloud watching and taking a moment to connect with that inner child and say what the clouds look like. That one looks like a frog. That one looks like a bunny. And you may not be able to see the growth that is done from little moments like that, but Spirit is kind of saying it's actually things like that that will make us feel more spiritually connected, and they are around us in our everyday. So it is worth looking at that. Now, the other 9 card I also got was around the suffering and silence. And to me, this is a card that I need to talk about. And I need to say this directly from Spirit for you, that you are not a burden. Okay? You are not a burden. There are so many people listening to this who are keeping everything in because they don't want to deplete other people. But there are other people around you who actually get filled up being of use and helpful. And so there are some of you who are keeping so many different worries and concerns inside, and I can actually feel like digestional issues, and I can feel like I want to say leaky gut. I don't even know what that is. I heard that term for my first time a couple of weeks ago, but I'm feeling like I have to say that. Like, there's actually stomach issues that can take place and discomforts because you're holding everything in to not be a burden to others. And Spirit is saying it's time to break this cycle. It's time to break this chain, because what you aren't understanding, and the perspective shift that is being invited into this teaching, is that other people actually get filled up, and they actually feel more intentional and purposeful in their lives when they can be of service. So you're actually kind of messing with somebody else's karma by keeping everything in for yourself and for yourself to figure out. And the invitation here is to be generous. It feels weird saying this because it goes against how I feel in my life, but what they're saying is, it's like, can you not see that by you releasing some of what you're carrying and sharing that load a little bit with others is actually helping other people in their karma and on their path? Can we see that? And maybe you want to start the conversation saying, I'd really like to sit and have a coffee with you just to kind of get some things out. And I just want to pre-warn you that, like, I typically wouldn't do this because I feel like it would be a burden. But if you're open to, like, hearing some things been happening with me and giving me a space to kind of talk them out, then maybe that will work out best for everybody. And what I get the sense is, by being transparent and open about that and vulnerable about it, people will come forward saying, no, like, I feel like something has been going on with you, but I've been waiting for you to bring it up because I don't feel safe bringing it up because you don't talk about it. And I'm here to listen. Like, let's go have coffee. And then what happens is, if you can sit and listen in that one sitting, the friend or the partner will come to you a little while later saying, hey, can we sit down and can you listen to me this time? And this reciprocity starts to take place. Now, I also have to say, this is coming up. When we are sitting and listening to people, we're not trading wounds, right? We're not bonding on these wounds. My husband does this sometimes, and I call him out on it, so I don't mind saying it on the podcast, but he always tries to one-up me. Like, if I had a bad day, his was worse. Or if I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, so many things happened today, he's like, oh, me too. Like, that is not helpful. Sometimes we just need someone to listen. And sometimes we need to ask the people who are approaching us, do you want me to just sit back and listen to you? Or can you at least inform me when you are looking for my feedback or advice? We want to get a lot more emotionally intelligent in our exchanges with each other, because that will really keep people from wanting to share in the future. And I also feel like this is an opportunity to bring up counseling and therapy as well. If we do not have people in our lives that can just sit and listen and not try to one up or not try to like bond in the wound space, there are counselors out there that will happily listen to you. I mean, they cost a bit of money, of course, it's a good investment, but I do believe, and this was actually one of the criterias for young people to work with me. If I was working with youth and I would talk to the parents, I would need a registered counselor to be involved as well at the same time, because I have to stay within my scope of practice as well. So huge fan of therapy, huge fan of counseling, highly recommend it for everyone out there as well. But this is more just to say that you don't have to suffer in silence, and you are not a burden to anyone. And I trust that you'll use your inner compass and your inner guidance system, and somebody will come to mind that you can reach out to and just share. So it's a very spiritual month. A lot of the things that are coming up are around spirituality. So if you have been feeling disconnected from spirituality, if you've been feeling disengaged from your spiritual path and your spirituality, this is going to be a really exciting month for you to get reconnected into it. This is going to be a month of reconnection with the spirit world. And it does come with the themes of spring, connecting with nature. We're going to find ourselves outside. We're going to notice the little, like, what are those Easter flowers, those little tulips coming out of the ground and buds growing on trees. Like, it's just an abundant month. That's what I have to say. But I feel like I have to stick with the spirituality. I feel like there's going to be so many powerful dreams. There's going to be so many powerful, feeling the presence of the spirit world. I think you're going to be able to feel your ancestors as well on a deeper level. It's a very connected month when it comes to spirituality and spiritual things. So to look out for that and to not chokehold that and give some space for it to come to you and through you. And then the final message is that 4 card, which is an angel card for me. So I feel like this is an angel message around the rest and rejuvenation. So if there is an opportunity, because rest is a privilege, let's make no mistake, not everyone has the privilege of rest. But if you do have it accessible to you in your life, that you have space to carve out time for rest, please do that. If you could book a half day, even if you have to squeeze it into your weekend and talk to your partner saying, you know what, in 2 Saturdays from 8 to 1, I'm going to leave the house and do something replenishing for me. I get the feeling that Spirit is really encouraging us to try to see this as something that we can incorporate into our lives every month if possible. But if you can just try in March on for size, I think that would be very beneficial for you when it comes into the rest and rejuvenation. I'm just seeing it as like a half day chunk of time, and whatever rest looks like for you is going to be very interesting. I'm someone who struggles a lot with rest, and I tend to cram activities into my rest time. So I'm not the preacher of all things rest. This comes from Spirit. And it would be interesting. This could be a good conversation in Spirit School. Actually, I'll post it in collaboration with the launch of this episode. But I'm curious about what rest means to you and how you incorporate rest into your life, and what does that actually look like. I will say one of the things that's coming to me right now is this past weekend, though I had a medical crisis and I was looped up on a lot of drugs because of my anaphylactic experience, I napped Saturday midday for 4 hours, and it was probably one of the best things I've done for myself in a very long time. And I tell you, for somebody who's such a busybody and such a doer, napping, not even on my list of things to incorporate into my life. So, thinking about the Spirit message that Spirit brought through, I might try to slot in a nap in March and try it on for size. Okay, so those are the messages that came through. I feel like there's a lot of different topics. I feel like the overarching themes were definitely around seeing the law of reciprocity around you, looking at your interactions as knowledge exchanges. I feel that a lot of it was focused on spirituality and spiritual growth as well. So, come join us in Spirit School if you want to keep these conversations going. I'm going to be incorporating monthly healings in Spirit School, group healings. I'm going to be incorporating a lot more fun video activities within Spirit School. So that you're listening on podcasts or checking me out on YouTube, do come into Spirit School because we're going to be doing a lot more in that space leading into 2023 as well. So I'm sending you guys my love. The next episode that's going to drop after this is one of my favorite interviews I've done in a long time with Winter Brook on physical mediumship. We have Jenny Kahn coming up this month too, and I'm going to go back to some solo episodes as well. So have a good month, and we will see you in Spirit School.